Hey, good morning, guys. It's Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, doing the levels and zones for today. And I've decided I'm going to break up the preview into two different sections, one just on the zones, right? And then one on the actual process of entering and exiting the trade, right? So it's easier for people to watch, they're briefer, and people don't get lost in having to hang out with how long the process is to set up. And so you can learn what you want. And if you want to learn more, you can watch the next video. And that's as it should be. So let's get started. If you will please first read this disclaimer. Basically, it says past performance not indicative of future results. All right, this is for educational purposes only. Basically, I'm sharing my trade plan with you in hopes that it'll make you a better trader. However, my trade plan is not, I want to repeat, is not designed for everybody. So please keep that in mind. My trade plan simply does not suit everyone's trading style. I do the best I can to put on a good show. However, some people just aren't cut out to be day traders, right? And so please keep that in mind. It takes a while to go from understanding to converting your understanding to actionable pieces that will actually make you money. Okay, and most people miss that point. So first of all, let's look at how the zones did from yesterday really quick. And I believe I got that right here, which means this is my 5-minute chart. And you will see that we had two critical zones. So I break the zones down into white zones, yellow zones, and blue zones. Blue zones are the weakest. Yellow zones are strong. White zones are critical areas where you'd usually expect rejection. These are what are called single prints off the profile. They're strong areas, right, to get turns from both long and short, right? The green lines are prior days high and low. The purple lines are value area high, value area low, and then the dashed blue lines are the prior days points and controls, right? All of that is pretty critical. Okay, so let's move our decision-making, right? Let's move our decision-making to how do we figure out the day. So these came from anomalies that were in critical areas. So if you'll see how the day played out when you spread this out, just from a profile perspective, right? We tested the anomaly, we found responsive buying. Depending on how you trade, right? This is the tricky part, right? Everyone would have been looking for it, including me, to come back to the prior day's point of control, and it did. The question is the path on which it follows, and that's where risk management and entry style comes from, and that's where we use the algos to help us out. But without the algos, what you could say is, hey, I can enter here with a reasonable stop behind, and I should be able to get enough of a rotation up to get my risk off. Meaning, let's say you have 4 points of risk. Hopefully you can get 4 points of counter rotation up to get your risk off out of this area, because what you'll usually find is on first touch, you get the counter rotation. And the way it works is first touch of the zone is the strongest odds. Second is still okay. Third, fourth, fifth, it gets weaker and weaker. And you can see here we had first touch, rotation, second touch, rotation, third touch fell through, came right to the top of that 39.2475. That turned out to be the low of the day. And remember, you now have resistance above. That's the only problem when you have these two zones stacked. And you can see how the PA played out, right? It came down, touched, and then we went through this kind of this muddy section because it couldn't get above this anomaly. It attempted above, so it broke free here, and then it backside tested one more time, right? So what you ended up having is on this zone is what I call an over-under. And what is they tried to break them, they failed, they got back above, and then it became support again, right? Prior resistance becomes support, vice versa. And then finally, when the Fed chair started speaking, it pushed right into the prior day's point of control, which would have been my target for the day. And that 39.60 did quite nicely at that point. And there's not much else to say about that. And then at the end of the day, they just kind of hung it up here and bounced around the point of control, which is why this makes a great target. Horrible place to put in a location, right? So that's how the day played out from yesterday. And we had a very good day in the rim. So now let's go adjust the zones for today, all right? So the way we do this, we slide this over. And I have a process for doing this that makes it quite easy for me to adjust. So ES profile, I only do my profile off the RTH. And you can see it was actually an outside day on both ends. That means we traded above the prior day's high and below the prior day's low, right? Nice, beautiful range there, right? You can see this is a lot of long liquidation because we have a B profile here. Means everything's weighted on the bottom. What that tells you is in order to go lower, we're going to have to trade below this 39.30 and hold underneath, right? Because there's a lot of sellers that are stuck in here. Doesn't mean it can't go lower. Just means that you're going to have to work through this inventory in order to go lower. So let's make some adjustments. The easy one, move prior day's high to a new high where we failed, right? And once again, the pattern of getting above a prior day's high and failing, right? I would have very big eyes on this 39.1275 for counter rotation today. Okay, I'd expect this whole area to actually give a counter rotation. So let's move the low. So what I do when I have this, so this has effectively been tested. So this will go to a blue zone. Why? We already came off the top of it yesterday. So I naturally would suspect that that would be a little bit weaker. And I also know that I could trap underneath prior day's low and back in. So I'm going to move prior day's low. So I already know this is an area where we could potentially trap, right? And then I'm going to basically merge a 39.23 all the way down to 39.12. This is my key area, and I'd expect counter rotations out of this location, both from the top. Actually, this becomes the priority, this 39.22, and the bottom, 39.1275. I'd expect at least a tradable response. Tradable to me means 2 to 4 points or better, right? So that's what defines tradable. Doesn't mean we turn around and go all the way back up to the high. That I need to see the real-time market data to make that determination or even that guess, right? Next, let's move this up in case we need it someplace else later. Move this up someplace else in case we need it later. This, prior day's point of control. This, prior, well, that's going to be value area high. Prior day's point of control. I use both volume profile and TPO profile. Next, I'm going to mark off value area high, the purple line. And value area low came all the way down here. That's this line here. If you'll remember from yesterday, set a trap, the last couple of days, that was the old all-time high. And see how they try to close above 1, 2, 3 times. So it would be pretty critical if we close underneath 39.50 today, right? That would be essentially what you end up with is an island reversal, right? You leave all this hanging up on top. We're not there yet. We'll see how we do. We're currently trading at 39.44. So we're not underneath this build yet. This area over here becomes actually a white zone. This right here. Very critical area. I don't care about that anomaly underneath. I'm going to assume that if there's strength, we have enough strength to get to that prior day's close, right? So I'm not trying to be perfect on profile. I'm trying to mark off the areas I think will be critical. And then finally, you have single prints right on top. And I would look for potential rejection of that area if and when we squeeze all the way up there. And then, so the red line is the prior all-time high. You can see there's 3 distinctive closes above. We're currently trading at 39.44. So we want to see if we can recover, right? Bulls are going to want to recover that 39.50 to push back up to that 39.73. We have the single prints down here that I expect a response from. 39.12 is critical, 39.04. And then I expect a response 39.80 to 38.90 to 38.72. Then 38.73. I have my critical levels laid out for the trade. What that looks like, so I'm going to save that. That looks like if I come over here and then I hit F5 and let's see how that looked overnight. Easy evening session. And now we can see overnight, market did. So this is Asia. This begins Asia right here. Excuse me, right here, roughly. So we opened up on top of the white zone. See how we held the white zone as support, pushed up into the single prints. We didn't reject out of the single prints in this case. They walked the line, held above prior day's high, fell back in, right? So in this case, we traded through the single prints. Usually I would expect rejection, right? Got above, attempted to hold above, trapped all these buyers, fell back underneath, back to the white zone in late Asia into early Europe, right? London opens at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. now. Our time, 3:30 is London's open because there's still a differential on time. Usually it's 2, I guess usually it's 2 a.m. Right now it's 3 a.m. So right here, and you can see London came in, guns a-blazing to the sell side, right? Come up just in front of London open to the single prints. This time we reject. So remember, this is first time into the white zone, second time into the white zone, third time flushes. This is value area high. It's a retail trade location. It's not a high odds location for me. You can see they try to bounce it, push down. They try to hold the old all-time high. The backside tested it. You can see they tried to get back above, failed. They should come down to that 39.36 at some point would be the downside goal. That would be the prior day's volume and TPO point of control. And ultimately, if I was looking anomaly to anomaly, the thing that's concerning is I don't have a strong yellow zone till all the way down to 38.90, right? So again, I'd expect responses. And really, since this yellow zone held in prior day's low, this 39.22, 39.12, 39.04 area, because there's not a zone behind it, and then this 38.90 to 38.97, and market's tanking pretty solidly right now, so we'll see how we go overnight. That's how the zones work. My name is Simon. I'm with Trade and Perform Coaching. If you'd like a pass to the room for a 3-day trial, email me, tradeandperform, TRADENPERFORM @gmail.com. Hope everyone has a great day. See you guys.